Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on when you are joining this broadcast. I remain your brother, Godwin Chukwumiko Noha. I want to share a message, an epistle of Apostle Paul to Timothy in 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 12. And I read, "Let no man despise thy youth, but be thou an example of the believers in word, in conduct, in charity, in spirit, in faith, in purity." These words may not mean anything to you, but I believe there are certain things in them that are supposed to be in us as believers, and when I delve into them deeper and maybe bring out my own understanding about what Apostle Paul was saying here, you might believe with me that it is an identity in which a believer can be identified. I will start with the very first that Paul wrote in his epistle to Timothy, in words. Advanced Learner's Dictionary describes the word as a sound or group of sounds that expresses a meaning and forms an independent unit of a language. To me, a spoken word is the mechanical outburst of the mind when reasoning, circumstance, and event coexist. Oral words, be it an oration, a seminar, a debate, an argument, or a speech of any kind or magnitude, must either consist 1. A message, 2. Admonishment, 3. An advice or encouragement, all tend to motivate the hearer to a certain state of impulse. It might be action or duty. God created everything through His Word. In Genesis 1 verse 3, and God said. In the human system, there are various organs doing various functions. Our medical experts have not told us about any organ that is responsible for speech. Therefore, in the Bible context, spoken word is a spirit. On my being, the poet wrote, and I quote, "Four things come not back: the spoken word, the speed arrow, the past, and the neglected opportunity." Reference to the above explanations about the spoken word, and more particularly the Bible context. Now the question is, how can a good believer live by example through his or her words? Is it proper for a good believer to talk irrelevantly? Is it proper for a good believer to brag? Is it proper for a good believer to be flippant? Is it proper for a good believer to talk immorally? The question is endless. Whichever way you ask the question, the answer is emphatically no. Yeshua, our model for good conduct, did not possess the above qualities because they are all bad attributes. In fact, he warned us in the book of Matthew chapter 5 verse 37 about the use of the tongue. I quote, "Simply let your yes be yes and your no, no. Anything beyond this comes from the evil one." This statement now acts as checks and balances in our mouth, so that we as believers should always weigh our speeches before we say them out. Satan, our adversary, always influences our speeches, especially when Matthew chapter 5 verse 37 is not our watchword. Sin committed through spoken word always consists of 90% of our total sins. In the book of James chapter 3 verse 1 to 12, the apostle educated us on the use of the tongue, which is the spoken word, because the tongue enhances speech. He started by advising us not to be teachers. We all know the work of a teacher. His major instrument is his or her tongue. In fact, he's telling us not to say things we don't know, because by your words you will be judged. In verse 2, he was emphatic when he said, I quote, "We all stumble in many ways. If anyone is not at fault in what he says, he is a perfect man, able to keep his whole body in check. In anger we curse, in jokes we talk immoral things, in jealousy we backbite, in gossips we blackmail. All these things are spoken words which inflict defilement to our body." The apostle went on to tell us what spoken words are. He described them as a fire, a word of evil among the parts of the body. It corrupts the whole person, sets the whole course of life on fire, and is itself set on fire by hell. In other words, all evil spoken word uttered by us is spiritually seen as fire, which annihilates the speaker inwardly. So many believers are losing their tongues. Even in church premises, we talk carelessly, even quarrel and backbite to the chagrin of non-believers around us. If evil spoken words act as fire, I wonder the extent we have destroyed ourselves in a bid to castigate our fellow human being. The sixth commandment says that we should not commit murder. This does not only imply killing with the aid of a gun, knife, or any other way of removing life, but also it implies the use of the tongue. For instance, two men were quarreling. One has a gut to tell the other about his inability to have children. This touched him in the heart so much, I went to somebody crying bitterly about the remark from the other man. If not that he was calmed down, he would have committed suicide. So many people have gone that way. Now, that man made that statement intentionally to hurt the other man, failing to know that he has indirectly murdered his fellow human being. Even the other man died as a result of that statement. He must have paid for his blood. I'm not trying to write about the consequences derived when we speak evil words, because we all know about that already. Or rather, I am writing about how a Christian should be an example by his word. Courtesy comes in at this point. Courtesy, by dictionary definition, is having or showing good manners, politeness. We can only be polite when we talk. A believer who does not show politeness in his speeches is not living by example, even when it comes to hot exchange of words. One had to be very careful what one says. When it comes to allegation, a good Christian should verify the truth before passing a judgment. 4 things should guide us when we want to talk. Number 1, is it the truth? Number 2, will it be fair to all concerned? Number 3, will it bring mutual love and friendship? Number 4, will it bring hope and trust to the other party? Brothers and sisters, I just want to end this important topic on spoken words. I would like us to digest what I have said. You may have much in-depth insight, more than what you've now heard. And I believe that the Almighty Father will help us to talk better. I wish you good luck in all you do that is right before His sight. Thank you, and may God bless all of us. Shalom.